You think love begins with movement, with desire reaching outward, with longing seeking union. You call this movement life itself, the pulse that gives meaning to the world. Yet Rumi saw this differently. He said love arises not from movement, but from stillness, from awareness that ceases to grasp. When the mind no longer runs after its own reflections, love is revealed, not as a feeling, but as the very nature of being. You do not make love appear. You simply stop concealing it through restlessness. Rumi's forgotten teaching is that stillness does not oppose life, it generates it. But this raises a question few dare to face. If love is born of stillness, why do we endlessly move in search of it? Rumi lived in 13th century Persia, trained as a jurist and theologian. His early life was marked by movement, the pursuit of knowledge, order, and religious perfection. Then came Shams of Tabriz, a meeting that overturned everything. What Rumi had sought through devotion and discipline was revealed in silence. Through Shams, he discovered that love is not something reached by effort, but something uncovered when all effort ceases. His poems became the record of this transformation, the stillness through which love recognizes itself. From that stillness, his words moved, but the source remained unmoving. You live as though love demands activity. You search, you strive, you express, thinking the intensity of motion proves its sincerity. Yet every act of reaching confirms the distance it tries to close. Rumi observed that this movement is not love, but its imitation, the noise of a self unable to rest in what already is. You reach for others, for God, for completion, as if what you seek were elsewhere. But each search repeats the same illusion, that love is missing. The restlessness feels alive, but it hides a deeper stillness beneath it. If love is the absence of division, can pursuit itself ever lead to what does not move? Stillness, in Rumi's thought, is not the opposite of action. It is awareness without resistance, the clarity that observes without grasping. When the mind stops choosing and rejecting, what remains is simple seeing. In that seeing, everything is included, and nothing is pushed away. Love arises naturally in such awareness, not as passion or feeling, but as understanding. It does not depend on an object. It depends only on being awake. Stillness is not emptiness. It is the state in which all movement is understood, yet nothing is mistaken for separation. When you no longer try to hold love, do you notice that love was never absent from the holding? You call many things love: affection, attachment, desire, dependence. Yet these are movements of emotion, and emotions change with time and circumstance. Rumi called such love a reflection of something deeper, not its truth. Emotional love arises and fades because it depends on the shifting surface of experience. But beneath it lies an unmoving love, being aware of being. When you no longer measure love by how it feels, it becomes stable, whole, and self-sufficient. You begin to sense that the one who loves and the thing loved are not two. If love is an unchanging presence, can any emotion, however intense, reveal it completely? The restlessness you call seeking comes from the sense of I. This I believes it must move, act, and achieve in order to exist. It defines itself by doing. But Rumi revealed that the self is movement itself, a process of thought that cannot rest because it fears what stillness might expose. To stop moving feels like death to it. Yet when you look closely, you see that this I is only a thought passing through awareness. Love cannot appear until the mover is seen as unreal. The question then shifts: If the one searching for love is only an idea, who is it that truly loves? As thought slows, the seeker begins to dissolve. The center that imagined separation fades into the background. Awareness remains, simple and present. Rumi called this fana, the passing away of the self that imagines distance from the divine. In that passage, love is no longer a goal. It is recognition. The mind cannot understand this because understanding itself depends on movement. Yet the heart of awareness does not move, it simply is. When you stop insisting on being someone, love no longer has a direction. It reveals itself as the totality of being. If there is no seeker, what remains for love to find? Rumi's idea of love cannot be confined to emotion or relationship. It is the very act of existence knowing itself. Love is not one part of reality relating to another. It is reality aware of its unity. The still mind sees this truth directly, that existence does not need to love something else. It is love simply by being. The illusion of movement creates the illusion of otherness, and the illusion of otherness gives rise to longing. Stillness dissolves both. What remains is the awareness that was always whole. If being and love are one, then every search for love is a search for being itself, a search that ends where it began. Stillness is not an act. You perform but a recognition that you stop avoiding. You do not quiet the mind by force. You simply notice that awareness is already quiet beneath its movements. Rumi's practice was not withdrawal from the world, but clarity within it. He watched thought, desire, and action without identification. In that seeing, stillness appeared naturally. Life continued, but it was no longer driven by need. When you act from stillness, love expresses itself through every motion without being divided by them. Can a life moved by stillness be the only life that truly knows what it means to love? At the end of this inquiry, Rumi's teaching dissolves its own distinction. Stillness does not create love. It is love. The silence of awareness and the presence of love are one reality described in two ways. Movement and stillness, seeking and finding, all belong to thought. What remains when thought ends is the unmoved presence from which all motion arises. When you see this, even the idea of practice disappears. There is nothing to maintain, nothing to reach. The lover and the beloved, the seeker and the sought, were never two. When all opposites are understood, what else is there to do but rest in being? You began with the belief that love depends on movement, on search, emotion, and exchange. Now you see that every form of movement points back to stillness, the source that never changes. Rumi's forgotten teaching is that love and stillness are not stages of a process, but two names for one truth. Stillness reveals that what you called searching was love forgetting itself, and what you call finding is love remembering its nature. Nothing was ever missing. When the mind becomes still, it does not create love. It simply stops dividing what was always whole. Reality itself is the act of loving by being. Once you understand this, there is no more search, only awareness resting as love.